Welcome to this new video of Sonic Gazelle Pilot. In this video tutorial series I will be talking about ATC, air traffic control, more precisely about how to fly on VATSIM network. VATSIM stands for Virtual Air Traffic Simulator, and it is actually a group of people, hobbyists and professionals, who man software with whom you can talk through the network and do the essential things that you would do when talking to ATC, namely communicate about air traffic control. So it allows you to fly in any airliner in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 and to talk with real people for air traffic control instructions. Now, for example, I will show you a small piece of a video that I have made in which I request virtual flight rules clearance with a Cessna in Dubrovnik. Let's have a look.
Adria radar, Oscar 842, holding short, holding point Bravo at runway 32.
And Oscar 8422, cleared VFR flight to Dubrovnik. After departure, follow the coastline, 2,500 feet, QNH 1014, squawk 7,000.
My apologies, I copy now. After departure, follow the coastline to Dubrovnik on 2,500 feet, QNH 1014, squawk 7,000, Oscar 842.
Oscar 842 ATC clearance copied correctly. Line up a backtrack runway 32 approved. Call when ready for departure.
Line up and backtrack runway 32, Oscar 842.
Visual mount 35 Charlie Whiskey, nothing further, monitor Unicom, bye-bye.
Unicom, visual mount 2 Charlie Whiskey.
That is fun, right? VATSIM adds a layer of realism to the simulation of the Microsoft Flight Simulator game. Let's have a look at another little piece of a video I made earlier where I arrive at Geneva and get instructions from VATSIM radar.
Speedway A422, expect Domingo 1 Tango arrival for ILS approach runway 12 at Bilbao.
Expect Domingo 1 Tango arrival for runway 12 at Bilbao, speedbird 842.
Lufthansa 4.
Now in further videos I will talk about everything that you need to know to fly on VATSIM network in the flight simulator. But this part will focus on how to get started with VATSIM. And one of the first things that you will have to learn is the aviation language or the pilot phraseology. Let me show you how you can find this. If you open up a browser and you type in aviation language, then under images you will get a whole lot of images showing the aviation language. Let me open up one of them, this one, and you will see the aviation alphabet, that every letter in the alphabet has an abbreviation code. That is meant for that when you talk to ATC, that there is no doubt about what letter you are talking to about. For instance, the A, you will use Alpha. For B, you will use Bravo. For C, you will use Charlie, etc., etc. For instance, if you have an airplane that has the call name OP842, you will identify yourself with Oscar Papa 842. OP842 is Oscar Papa 842. Now, I advise you that you print out such an aviation language list, take it with you for 20 minutes, study it a bit, and you will see that after one day you will talk easily and without any hesitation anymore the aviation language. That's a good point to start with. What you will do next is, as you are going to connect from within Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 with a client app that is called vPilot. I will come back later to this software. vPilot will need a VATSIM identifier that is unique for you. And to get this VATSIM identifier, you have to register with vatsim.net. If you go with a browser to vatsim.net, you can click on Get Started with VATSIM, and here you can register. You give your name, your email, etc., etc. Choose a region, for instance the Americas, or Asia Pacific, or Europe, and also a division where you can specify more in detail in what geographic location you are from, and click register. This will send an email to your email box with your VATSIM ID, the unique identifier that is attributed to you. Now, once you have an ID, you will be able to log in. I will log in to VATSIM because I already have an ID. Log into my VATSIM. Page is not very responsive. And here I am. It automatically logged me in. This is the hub or the home page of VATSIM, where you can find all the information you need about VATSIM. Important thing is you will have to follow some tutorials, read into the guidelines, the code of conduct, basic ATC communication standards, etc. And at the end you will be asked to pass an exam which you have to pass. It's not really difficult. I did this in less than an hour. Where you would want to start is with resources on the left side here, and go to resources. And we have welcome to VATSIM's documentation. You can start with the Pilot Learning Center. Learn more about flying on VATSIM network. Go to. And here I would take the new member orientation course. As you can see, it's in different languages. I will choose English, and you will see it has 4 parts. Part 1, 2, 3, 4. Part 1 is the basics. If you click there, you will get all the information that you need to learn to pass the exam. At the end of this page, you will be able to go to part 2. Again, the expectations from pilots. What to do if you need to leave the flight deck, that you have visual flight rules and instrument flight rules, how to connect to the network, etc., etc. And then you will go to part 3. Here you will read again through it, study it. This is important here. This map shows you what ATC frequencies are online, from ground level to the area covering a whole country or even an ocean, etc., etc., etc. And at the end of this page, you will be able to go to part 4. And at the end of part 4, you can go to the exam. I don't see immediately the exam page here, but you can go to the exam via here on the left side, My Exams. And there you will be able to take the exam. I will show you the exam that I took. Question 1. When being handed off to the next controller, ATC will provide, and the right answer is next controlling position frequency. Question 2. Supervisors may be reached by typing the following command into your pilot client. Wallop. And these are the questions that you answer. Answer them all, try to be correct, and you will pass the exam. And from that moment on, you will be able to use the tool called vPilot to connect to VATSIM and start flying on the VATSIM network. So imagine sitting on a plane on a runway somewhere and you want to connect to the VATSIM network. I talked about the software, the pilot client, vPilot. How do you get your hands on vPilot? Well, on the website of VATSIM, you simply go to Resources, Pilot Clients, and the first one is vPilot. Clicking on it will show you a preview of the interface of vPilot, and you can go to download here and download the stable version. And when you execute the file that is being downloaded, you will have vPilot and you will be able to start using vPilot. Once you have downloaded and installed vPilot, you can launch it. So that's what I will show you now. vPilot has this icon here. When I double click on it, it will launch vPilot, and this is the black interface. First thing that you have to do, there's different buttons. Want to connect to the VATSIM network, but before you can connect to the VATSIM network, go to Settings, and under Network, fill in your VATSIM ID that you gained from subscribing to the VATSIM net website, your password, your full name, your home airport. For instance, for me, this is Echo Bravo Bravo Romeo, which is Brussels National Airport. That's because I'm Belgian that I chose the Belgian National Airport as my home base. And also what you want to do is go to the push to talk button and click here. This will let you allow to click on a keyboard key or a joystick button that will be the one that you will press when you want to talk to the ATC controllers. As you see, for me it is button 4 on my TA320 quadrant yoke from Trustmasters. So this is the only setup that you have to do. But before you connect to the VATSIM network, you have to be in an area where there is coverage of ATC. And I will show you that you need to download another utility which is named VATSPY. I will show you right away where you can find VATSPY, download it and use it. So, going back to the browser, when I type in VATSPY, you will find the first website is VATSPY here, and that's where you can download VATSPY. You go to download and run this installer. This will download VATSPY. And what is VATSPY? VATSPY is an application that shows you where the operators of VATSIM are currently listening for ATC instructions. And how does this look like? Well, let me bring up VATSPY. This is the icon for VATSPY, and this is how it looks like. You have here the map of Europe, but you can have the entire world, of course. And if I would go to Europe, you can see those blue areas. These are areas that have coverage. For instance, here Lima Foxtrot Echo Echo is Reims in France, and you can see that this has a frequency of 133.005 and it is manned by Simon. Now, for your first flight, you would choose an airport that has ground or tower or ATIS. Ideally, it will have ground. So I can see that there's an airport here which has grounds, because you see the little G, and tower and ATIS. I will come back later to what types of ATC you have. You have actually delivery, ground, tower, ATIS here at München, and then you have the bigger area with this radar. But in the next tutorial I will explain all this. But just to get started and do a test, we will go to Munich and we will try to connect to Munich grounds because they are live now. So as I want to start my flight in Munich, I have to look in VATSPy to the code, the ICAO code, the International Civil Aviation Code for Munich, and that is Echo Delta Delta Mike. So going to the flight simulator, I typed in already Echo Delta Delta Mike, and that's where I will start with a Skyhawk. I will also choose a parking stand, so that's important that you are not spawned on the runway but at a parking stand. So let me see, I will take one here. No, that's a large one. They are all large ones. Well, let's take one at the extremity, or maybe here, medium, that's a good one. Set as departure, and we can go and fly. So here I am in the Skyhawk 172 at Munich. Let me bring up vPilot now, and we are going to connect. You need a call sign. I will take a call sign that is Oscar Oscar 8422. Oscar Oscar is actually the prefix for small aviation airplanes in Belgium. Later I will show you how you can look up the call sign for your airplane. For instance, if you would be flying with British Airways or with Alitalia or with a small plane from New Zealand. I will come back to this. You also need a type code for the Cessna, that is C172/L. I will come back to this in my other tutorials, how you look up the type code for your airplane. And then I hit connect. Oh, I have C too much here. Well, I think it's C172, Cessna 172, yes, that's right. So I can connect. And what happens? You can see connected to voice server, and immediately frequencies appear. Here is the ATIS frequency, and as we saw on VATSPy, that ground is also available. I expect ground to appear soon on the list. Let me just wait a little bit. But if ground has disappeared, then we can listen to another frequency. Let me just wait for the list to populate. Basically, you have delivery where you will ask clearance, you have ground for taxiing, you have tower for takeoff, you have departure and approach for departure and approach, and then you have center. Center is the highest level, which is a whole area above the country. Let us try. You can do this also. First we will listen to ATIS. ATIS is general information about the airports, about runways in use, etc. So you can see here that you can enter a frequency. We will enter the frequency of the Alpha ATIS, which is 118.255. So with this knob here, I will go to 118. 118. Let me bring up vPilot again. Decimal 255. With the smaller knob I can go to 255. Takes a while. And now it is in standby mode. I want to bring it to the left side to activate it, and that you can do that with this button.
Special. Independent parallel ILS approaches are in force. Arrival runways 18 left and 18 right. Surface wind 160 degrees at 6 knots. Variable between 120 degrees and 200 degrees. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Light rain.
So, as you can see, you get basic airport information from an automated computer broadcaster when you listen to ATIS. But more interestingly, we can go, for instance, as ground is not available and tower is not available, we will go immediately and talk to center. Center is at 132.980. 132.980. It's always good to have a pen and paper available to write such things down. So I will go to 132.980. And before activating it, let me warn you, once you activate a busy airport controller, then you will start hearing all communications between airplanes and this air traffic controller, so it can be quite chatty. I will try to push the button that I configured in vPilot to talk to ATC, and I will do a simple thing. I will check if my communication is understood well, and I will do this by giving my call sign, which is Oscar Oscar 842, and I will say a radio check, and normally he will answer how the radio communication of my airplane is. So let's try this.
But your departure should be PNR to uniform and departure runway 14 left.
14 left and uniform, that's 074.
German 074, when able, start up and push track approved, facing to the north.
Oscar Oscar 842, radio check.
Royal Maroc 802, Madrid reading you 5.
So he answered me, reading me 5. So we have a good communication. And this brings me to the end of this first part, where I showed you how to connect with vPilot to VATSIM ATC and talk to an operator and ask for a radio check. In future tutorials, I will explain everything from departure, taxiing, taking off from the runway, flying over the country, arriving at an airport, landing, and taxiing to the gate. And I will do this for two kinds of flights: the ones where you are in a Cessna and rely on visual signs like mountains, rivers, roads, which are the visual flight rules. And I will do this later for airliners where we rely on instruments, and that's ILS, that's IFR, which is instrument flight rules. So stay tuned. In the coming weeks we will delve deeper and I will guide you to become an expert VATSIM pilot. Bye bye from Sonic Gazelle Pilot.